Hello everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Windbreaker Season 1. This video is unscripted and will contain spoilers for Season 1 of Windbreaker. Before I start this review, please remember these are just my opinions. If you disagree with me, that's great. Drop your own opinions down in the comments below. Without further ado, let's start this review. A quick plot summary of Windbreaker is we follow Haruka Sakura, who is a high school age boy who's kind of been an outcast because of his multicolored hair and his heterochromia, his different colored eyes, and he's sort of grown to become a delinquent. He gets into fights a lot, and he specifically chooses to go to a high school which is sort of well known for being a delinquent high school. And he quickly finds out that the people at this high school aren't your generic delinquents. They're actually peacekeepers of a city with high crime rate. They fight off other gangs that do harm to the residents, and they're sort of a peacekeeping force. Windbreaker is more about Sakura becoming more accepting of himself and, making friends and overcoming his mental handicaps. And it's also about giving back to your community, about keeping the people that you care about safe, and forging bonds in your local community and even with people in other communities, as we see when the Bouffarine, who is the delinquent school, that's their gang, when they fight other gangs in Season 1. They forge alliances and make new friendships in these other gangs. I don't know if I missed the memo or something, but nobody told me Windbreaker was this good. I thought it was your generic seasonal battle shonen that would come and go over the couple months or couple years after its release, and I sort of checked it out on a whim. I was kind of clowning on it for a bit. I didn't even know what it was about, but it looked kind of dumb to me. But I was like, well, I'll give it an episode, and that first episode just hooked me in, and I was like, this show actually seems kind of good. And I ended up binging the entire thing over the next 2 or 3 days, and I gotta say, Windbreaker, despite looking generic, is pretty good. Now, I'm outspoken, I think, on my distaste or dislike for battle shonen, especially recently. I think that as I've grown, my anime taste has also changed, and most battle shonen just don't entertain me as much as they used to. But Windbreaker just scratched a specific itch that was really engaging to me and made me remember some of the reasons why I used to love battle shonen. And I think one of those things is the fight scenes in Windbreaker are choreographed so well. It's so satisfying to watch a fight scene in Windbreaker because, along with the amazing animation by Cloverworks, every punch, every kick, every headbutt feels impactful. It feels real, and it just makes it super engaging and exciting to watch. The lighting and, I guess, art style of Windbreaker is so amazing. I think the set design and the backgrounds are so vibrant. The sets in Windbreaker feel lived in, layers and layers of graffiti built up, but also just, you see people walking around or crowds look full. And it adds so much to the atmosphere of the show. Because Bouffarine is supposed to be intertwined with the city, having a city that looks lived in, that feels real, does so much more for the believability of the show. Some of my favorite characters in Windbreaker were Suo and Togami. Suo is just, I think his fighting style is probably the most interesting out of all of the Bouffarine members. I love fighting styles that are more focused on counterattacking than just all-out attack. And I love his presence as this more calm figure compared to all of the rest of these hot-headed fighters. And he just adds a really interesting dynamic between him and Sakura, or him and all the other Bouffarine members. Togami is such an interesting villain because we respect him in some way, where at first he seems like your generic villain. He's focused on power and nothing but that. He treats his peers like trash, but through his fight with Sakura, we learn that he's more focused on honor and how his definition of power isn't how we interpret it by first looking at him, and his arc of realizing that it's okay to go against your friends in some way to help take them off a path that they've chosen that is harmful or dangerous to them, and how he realizes his mistakes and makes up for it is such a powerful arc that was super entertaining. And along with Suo, I just love Togumi's fighting style. I'm a sucker for these like slower, calmer characters that when they fight, a switch flips and they're suddenly, zipping around and they're super fast and going insane on the fight. And his design is just super cool. Such a great character. And a lot of the characters in Windbreaker are pretty likable. I wouldn't say that any of them are, the most introspective characters, the crazy plot development, crazy well-written characters, but the characters are likable. They have factors that can make you both dislike them or like them. And Windbreaker, it's not one of those shows that you're gonna go to have your mind torn apart by psychological battles, or you're not gonna go to it to have a wholesome, calm experience. If you want, a good battle show that's gonna get your adrenaline running and it's gonna get you hyped up, Windbreaker's great for that. Now, I don't have all nice things to say about Windbreaker. I think that some of the characters are kind of boring. I think that, a lot of them can feel one note, and I think maybe as I move on to season 2, or maybe read the manga, I might get tired of some characters if they don't give them meaningful development or give them some meaningful factors. I think that they might start to feel pretty boring. I think that in terms of the plot, if they keep doing this thing where Bofrin's gonna get into fights with rival gangs, I think that could also get pretty boring pretty fast. But in terms of my problems purely with season 1, I didn't have many. I think that it was just an enjoyable watch all the way through. I think that problems could compound as I watch more or read more. I think the pacing, which I usually have a problem with pacing in a lot of shows, pacing in Windbreaker was amazing. I think that they gave a proper amount of time to the, major fight or major battle of the season. I think it was about 4 or 5 episodes. And I think that's perfect pacing for this major fight, and they were able to break it up and put in new characters with different fighting styles to keep everything fresh, and I think that was great. My final thoughts on Windbreaker is it's not gonna go down in history as one of the greatest shows of all time. It'll probably be forgotten about in years' time, but as somebody who has watched the show, I'm gonna look back on it fondly. It was a fun experience, and not only has it inspired me to make a video about it, but it's inspired me to want to go out and help my community, because I think that's the central theme of Windbreaker, is that no matter what background you come from, no matter how much you get bullied or how much of an outcast you are, there's always people that can accept you. If you work, if you put in the effort, no matter how you look, no matter how you act, if you put in the work, people will respect you. And I think that is the central theme of Windbreaker. My final rating for Windbreaker would be an 8 out of 10, because while it doesn't blow you away with anything, it is a fun watch with some great action, likable characters, and a central theme, a central message that we can take and apply to our own lives. And for that reason, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Drop any anime recommendations down in the comments below. If you haven't already, check out some of my other videos. I'm going to be trying to post on a regular-ish schedule now that I have school. I get less time to watch anime, so I'm trying to upload at least one video a week, but if I can't do it, please understand. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. I'm amazed that you found my channel. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you didn't, tell me some ways that I could get better. And if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, tell me why down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and yeah, farewell.